booties for black girl nerds.
I am excellent. Thank you. How are you guys today?
Good, really good.
Very good. How are
Thank you.
you?
Very good. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you guys. Priyanka, beginning with you, some of my favorite things about the interactions between Nadia, Mason, and Bernard is they all have very distinct personalities, but they have to coexist in this unit in a very serious way to accomplish their goals. What do you think that Nadia brings to the group in terms of personality? Everyone is skilled and intelligent and fierce, but in terms of her selfness, what does she bring that makes those two partners better?
I think she's a problem solver. I think they get caught up in optics, and I think they get caught up in the tech. But she's someone who's solution and goal oriented. She's always got her eye on the ball. She's always a couple of steps ahead of everyone because she's a survivor. She was raised in the spy world. Her history comes from that. So she doesn't trust anyone, and she trusts herself fully and wholly. And that makes her a solo-driven person, but it also makes her someone that if you're ever in trouble, you want her on your team.
For sure. Joe, over to you. Some of my favorite aspects of the series have been the sounds themselves. Visually, it's gorgeous. Landscaping, the fight, all of that is really, really beautiful. What are the intangibles of a project like this that just really make it live and make us connect to it?
Well, it's juggling a lot of plates all at once. It's a really complex show that has a unique tone. It can be very intense at times, very witty and charming at other times. Trying to blend all of that together into something that's propulsive and visceral and that, holds together consistently. Just to get the scale of this universe, working with a show in Italy, a show in India, and everyone feeding each other creatively. It's growing all the time and changing all the time as new ideas. We're about to release our show. Italy just finished theirs, and India's just about to start theirs. So we're constantly feeding information back and forth. And I love that because it's an organic narrative that just keeps growing as artists contribute to it. It's such a cool idea.
So cool.
Mm-hmm. It really is beautiful because I watched the trailer and I knew it was going to be exciting and sexy and all these things, but I wasn't prepared just for the different levels that it affected me. Priyanka, back over to you, like for instance, with the fight scenes and just the anatomy of those and how they sound. I had to listen to them in my earphones because all the, was so amplified and so cool. So what is the anatomy of making a fight scene really successful? Like, what are those key elements now being on the other side of it that you felt really made it pop for you?
I think the more you see an actor do it, the more believable it is, which means it's always better when you do it yourself. To be able to create a safe environment for everyone involved it's really important to have technically superior people who have had amazing experience in doing dangerous stunts. And we were blessed with Joe and Anthony brought their teams that they have worked with previously who were amazing and extremely technically sound and very, very safe. They've padded up whole sets for me to take hits and for me to take falls. And that really helps. I think the secondary thing, the one thing that I always do, and I'm doing my own stunts, is no matter what and how many people you have around you that create a safe environment, it is really important during rehearsals to be able to walk your steps with whoever you're, fighting with. So we always, and I'm a dancer, so I come from the background of that. I think learning choreography is still easy, but actually being able to walk, because the technical nature of doing a stunt scene is I have to hit you at full speed without actually hitting you. It's got to stop here, otherwise I'll take off your eye or something, So the work that goes into behind the scenes by the time you even get to set has to be very, very precise. I think that's what really makes for a good stunt scene.
You killed that. I loved it. It was great.
She did.
Well, I killed it. I thank you for your time. Great series. Have a wonderful season, and I appreciate your time. Thank
Thanks
you.
so much.
Thank you
Thank you.
so
Glad you liked it.
Lovely. Thanks,
Okay.
Jeandra.
Thank you so much. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
You.
This is such a beautiful, it's exciting, it's sexy, and just the sounds of the fight scenes were some of my favorite part. I went to watch it with earphones just so I could hear. I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. It was really, really cool. Richard, beginning with you for Mason, as we meet him, he's on this journey of recapturing his memories. He's not sure what was happening with him. When you have a person like Mason who's lost his memories, what would you think those feelings would be when things start appearing to you in flashes? You think you might have experienced this, but you just aren't sure because you're living a whole nother life.
I think that when we first meet Kyle at the beginning, and he's having these moments, these flashbacks, these feelings, I think for him it is much more than like we would imagine a dream to be, or a kind of sense of deja vu. I think these are really real and powerful, and there's a whole history in him that's pushing through and bursting through. So I think it's quite frightening as well, and I think that's a big motivator for him to explore it. Is this not only wanting to know who you were, but this kind of terror of not knowing yourself and having secrets from yourself, not knowing who you were or why you ended up where you are.
Mm-hmm. And for you, Stanley, here you appear to sort of bridge those gaps for him. Your character Bernard, and Bernard's kind of like an Oz, like a voice in the sky who can see all things and help assist. So in addition to some of those like technical aspects that he helps Mason and Nadia with reconnecting with their past spy lives, what do you think he serves for them in terms of personality? Because he brings out things in them that they don't seem to be able to bring out in each other.
Yeah, he is, I suppose, he has a meta position, that they don't have. And part of that is having created the technology that necessary for them to do what they need to do. And so I think that he sort of lets out this information slowly when necessary, but does so, I think, at times in a very gentle way, because he knows that there are emotional repercussions for having them realize those memories. And so he's quite cautious about it. Through all his sort of bluster and cynicism and all that sort of nonsense, there's a real sensitivity there, I think.
And I think he also brings out the best in these characters. He brings out elements that the audience don't get to see. You know, his banter with Mason and his kind of tennis he plays with Nadia. I think that's really, what a great thing for the audience to have, as someone who brings out, like you said, the things that they don't bring out of each other.
Yeah.
Stanley's character Bernard is that missing puzzle piece, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful, the frightening aspect of memories flooding back, and you have all these skills, you might be in a house chopping onions for dinner. Next thing you know, you're catching them in air. You don't know what's going on.
Right.
I enjoy those fight scenes so much. Richard, can you tell me what is the anatomy of a fight scene? When we get to see it, it's like Thanksgiving dinner's already been prepared for us, but we don't get to see all the prep. So what are the keys to a good classic fight scene? Because there are some epic ones in the first 3 episodes to kick it off.
It's funny that you said you enjoy the fight noises, because a lot of the time we put them in afterwards. So it's usually me in a studio going like this full range of nonsense noises that feel very unnatural in the studio, because on the day you're maybe not making those noises, but they add so much to it. So yeah, like a Thanksgiving dinner, there's all these different elements that we've got to cook at separate times and bring them together for you at the very end. So, that goes from months in advance when we start thinking, okay, this fight's in a restroom. what can we use in this space to make it like a fight we've never seen in a restaurant before? To hang on, do we have a second within this fight sequence where these two can connect emotionally, not about the fight they're in, but about something in the past that's right in that moment? So there are so many things that get layered in all the way until you see it at the very end. But that's the fun bit of our job, is that we get to do all of these things, and prepare the meal in advance for you to enjoy.
Well, I definitely did that. They are giving me the hook. Thank you, guys. See, now I'm going to go home and and try to do that myself and see what I come up with. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Hi, David. Thank you for your time.
Hi.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to see you. Thank you so much.
You too. I really enjoyed. I've had a chance to see the first 3 episodes, and I love characters where their memories are wiped clean, and they have a clean slate, but we, the audience, do not. And we're just wondering and trying to figure out when are they going to put it all together. As the showrunner, what is most appealing to you about that type of storytelling?
Well, I think there's like a wish fulfillment almost element within that kind of storytelling, where I think oftentimes in our own lives we wonder if we had a second chance, if we had a clean slate, what would we do and who would we be? I think so too. We all have depths and dimensions within ourselves. There are alter egos within each of us. There's duality within each of us. And so I love that this is a really universal tale in many ways, though it's set with spies and this sort of high octane canvas. I think that there's something that each one of us can relate to, and also a bit of an access point where we can be taken on the ride with these characters. Maybe we wish we were, Nadia, or we were Mason, and sort of we can live vicariously through them in that way.
Nadia and Mason are really interesting. They're high evolved, they're spies, they're martial artists, super intelligent, super sexy, on top of all of those things. And watching them kind of make their way through these fight scenes, the choreography of it's beautiful. But what I really like were the sounds. Just it's like they're so amplified that I went back and I watched it with my earphones on.
Awesome.
So talking to Richard, he was saying that, we filmed that separately and it's a whole other choreography when we're trying to get that right. How involved are you in that aspect of it? Because it really adds like the cherry on top of a delicious dessert.
Absolutely. It's so perceptive, what you felt, and that's so incredible. And I'm going to tell our sound mixers in particular that you said that, because I think they are such brilliant artists who are so rarely sort of celebrated and seen in the way that you saw them. And that's really special. I'm there, every step of the way. And to your point, you're right. Writing the script is one layer, shooting it is the second layer. And then the post-production is really the third, piece of this journey. It's the third act, so to speak. And so every single sound that you hear is all mixed by this incredible team in Glendale, California, no less. And then there's the color for the imagery, then there's the visual effects, then there's the score. So it's like all of these different instruments, right, are being played in this grand orchestra. But sound is so vital to me. I'm right there with you. I think it adds so much. And Priyanka and Richard and Stanley, they then have to, after we're wrapped shooting, you're right, they go and they have to watch back what they did. They add effort sounds. It's really amazing. I'll tell you a very quick story. I know we don't have limited time, but with Hunters, I got to work with the incredible Al Pacino. And Al always said that his performance was always made in ADR. It was always made in the third, piece of this journey, where he got to go back into the booth and give an effort sound. It can cast a scene in an entirely different way. At first it's a tragedy, then it's a comedy. You can do so much with that. So anyway, long answer, but really, really great question.
Oh, I appreciate that. And lastly, we are going to go on a journey with them and see what happens. And is there anything you can say, like a spoiler, but without any context from any episode?
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna get in trouble. So I mean, the ending is very explosive and very surprising. I think the tagline says it all, really. Everything you know is a lie. And these characters are going to go to places that I don't think you would expect. Even if you think you know, or you think you're sort of ahead of the game, we tried to really, fake out the audience as much as possible, because the audiences these days so sophisticated, so smart, and we wanted to create an experience that would have them sort of on the edge of their seat.
Well, I thank you for your time. Have a great season, and I appreciate talking to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Take care.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.